Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Alea Leyland, and this is an episode of the Enchanted Life Salon brought to you on Look Who's Talking Vision. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of something, and let's contemplate the enchantment that is our life. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you are. Welcome to Baby Boomers Going Global. This is Alea Leyland. I am joined by Lynn Ocean, and we will soon be joined by Andy Graham. We are, again, extremely global, more global than we were last week. Last week we were, oh gosh, I can't even remember where we were, but this week we are Hawaii and Oregon and West Africa. And our guest this morning is very, very special. But before I tell you about him, let me tell you what to expect in the second hour. In the second hour, the first hour, we're going to talk to Andy Graham. The second hour, Lynn and I are going to talk about women traveling alone and traveling in pairs and some of the common sense things that you need to think about and know about when, actually all the time, but particularly when you're traveling. But for now, we're going to talk to Andy. And I want to tell you guys a little bit about Andy, the little bit that I know. I found him on the web. I was just surfing around looking for people that were escaping the United States. And one of his videos popped up. Let me tell you guys, this man is amazing. He has lived in 90 countries. He has traveled nonstop for 15 years. He has a web community that has around 200,000 followers who follows him from country to country, depending on what country he's in. So some of them fall off, and then he gets new ones, and the other ones kind of watch until he goes to someplace else that they're interested in. He is currently in Togo, West Africa, Kara Togo, West Africa. And he has only been about 3 months in each place. So I want to know, how did he logistically do this? As some of you have given me questions about other things that we'd like to know also, and we'll ask him that too. But I really want to know how he logistically manages to do what he does. So welcome to the program, Andy. Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm at 6:30 in Togo, West Africa. I'm in Atakpami, Togo.
So I guess it's evening there.
Yes, it is. We're a time difference. I made a trip this morning from about 5 hours. Came from the north of the country down to Atakpami. But I arrived safely and everything's good. We're on it. Sound like we have a good connection.
Fantastic. One of the first things, because I know we don't have you for a long time, internet connections and phone connections being what they are, I want to use your time as wisely as possible. So one of the first things I want to ask you, because I think in watching all of your videos, I haven't quite seen how this started. How did you start? Where was the first place you went? And how did you decide that you were just going to keep going?
Well, I didn't start, I didn't plan to leave to travel. What I did is I went on vacation to Mexico for 6 weeks when I was a real estate broker. And while I was there, I had such a good time, I decided I would go north of Acapulco on a beach called Pia de la Cuesta and try to see if I could make money on the internet. And I stayed, throughout Mexico for about a year, and then slowly I just took off traveling. It was really not a planned thing. It was just an accidental started to travel.
So you're the accidental traveler.
Yeah, there was no premeditated thing to travel. It was, but as I was sitting in the hotel in Acapulco, I realized that people walking through with Lonely Planets all the time tried to introduce me to the world of backpacking.
Ah. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that, and I actually did something, not what you're doing, but every place that I have lived, I went there to visit, and then I just ended up staying. And so I guess that serendipitous, following your heart kind of thing, instead of making a set plan, is something that has contributed to your lifestyle, yes?
Yes, I think I'm one of the few, when they use the word nomad, I really am one of the few nomads because I don't make the plan on my next destination until the day I leave, really. I mean, I start thinking about it, but I don't plan anything, mainly because after about a year or two of planning, I realized I never followed the plan anyway, so why would I do it?
Now, you said that you've only been in each place 3 months or less. There's a logistics question that really tweaked my interest when you said that, because I know that for the most part, it seems you need to send in or take in your passport in order to get your visa for the next place. So, but you're also supposed to always have your passport with you. So do you have 2 passports, or how do you just kind of wing it for a couple of days until your passport comes back? How does that work?
Well, my visa applications are always done in the country where I'm at, and then so I take it in on the day in the morning, and I receive it back 2 days later. Or a day later. Very seldom do I send it anywhere. I have done it in the United States. I've used visa processing companies, but truthfully, the passport's always in my hand, but there's a myth that you need to have your passport on you all the time. You really need maybe a copy of a passport on you, but I never carry the passport outside my room, except I did in Panama because they had a specific law about it. But most of the time I leave it in the room. But you can I'm not making visa applications by sending my passport to Washington. I'm like, if I wanted a visa to Ghana, I would go to the embassy here in Togo.
Okay. But what if you probably won't be going there, but like, let's say, what if you wanted to go to Spain? Is there an embassy for Spain in Togo that you could just go there and then get a visa for Spain?
Well, there probably is, but being that I can just get on a plane and land there's a visa on arrival in Europe, so we don't really need a visa in Europe, so it's really quite easy. But,
so it's basically knowing what you need for which country.
Well, you have to. You're always making the trip dependent on the next visa. I was in Cote d'Ivoire when they started the war, and I needed to leave real quick, so I flew to Senegal because it was the only country that didn't require a visa in West Africa. But you're always, it never sneaks up on you, but you're always kind of thinking which country I'm going to, then you get the visa. But truthfully, the only place where it's really a big problem is in Africa, and maybe Russia or something like that. But all of Europe, we can just get on an American get on a plane and just land in Europe and go about anywhere. So.
Right. Okay.
But,
the other question India
is a problem.
Oh, India is a problem?
Oh yeah, you need about a week to get an application for India. So I mean, they're terribly slow, but they do give you at least a 6-month visa, so that's good. But
Yeah, really.
every country's different, so you kind of sadly, Americans tend to make their trips according to which countries are easy for visas. Like, you need a visa to get to Brazil, which is just a perfect country for Americans, but they don't go there because they need a visa.
Ah, okay. Another question that comes up is the passport, when you get it, only has so many pages. And a lot of countries are really greedy, and they take up the entire page for their visa. So as many countries as you've been in, what do you do when you run out of pages?
Well, you just walk into an American embassy in any country you're in, which is almost all of them, and you hand them the passport. And used to be they would do it for free. They would just add pages, but now I think they're charging $80. But I've had, I think, pages added, I think 3 times. It's about 20 pages.
Wow. So your passport is pretty thick. You got a book.
Yeah, sometimes I hand it to the person and say, you're not dealing with a kid here, because sometimes that, when a lot of the travel industry is always shining people on, I guess you'd say, or baffling them. And, if you hand them a passport that's, over a quarter-inch thick or so, they kind of realize that you're not, a newbie at the game.
Now, why have you chosen to be in an area only 3 months?
Well, it really wasn't a choice. I think what happens is that I just kept moving. The first 2 or 3, probably 5 or 6 years, I moved every, say, 10 to 15 days. And as time went on, I realized that I was sort of being silly. I mean, you'd end up, what you do, you get very, very tired, and then you'd end up staying in one place for 2 or 3 months, and then you move on. And so after a while, I had this kind of cycle where I realized that I would go really quick through 1 or 2 countries, then I would hang in one place for 3 months. And after traveling for, 7 or 8 years, I realized that there was kind of a silliness here, that would be better to stay in each place for a month or at least. Okay, so I usually stay 10 days or 1 month in each place. I don't stay 3 months unless I really like the place. So, I mean, the minimum is 10 days. The maximum is really 3 months. But generally, the reason why I move is not because of special reasons. It's that you just kind of get they call it cultural fatigue. I get tired of the same old thing, and any way you do it, travel is an addiction. I mean, you really want the rush of a new city. I need my fix. So I leave because I need my fix. My fix is the rush of entering a city, not knowing the situation, solving all the problems, and getting the rush of meeting all the new people.
And then once you've done that, you're ready to go to the next one.
Yeah, travel is an addictive process, and after about 2 years of travel, it's really difficult to sit there and do the same routine every day of the week for the rest of your life. That's just very difficult to imagine.
Andy, for some of our listeners, particularly the ones that are armchair travelers, they probably will think that what it is that you're doing is huge, and they would not, even though they would want to do it, to imagine themselves in a different place every 3 months is daunting. And do you ever get tired when you're traveling? Do you ever get to a place and go, okay, I am just tired of moving. I know I'm tired of all the strange stuff too, but I'm tired of moving. Have you ever gotten to that or no?
Well, yes, 100% of the time. I mean, truthfully, the word travel is used. Travel is no fun when I'm saying bougie, moving from place to place to place, that's French. Moving is no fun. I mean, getting on a plane and going to another country is torture, okay? But landing in the destination is exciting. So yes, I will do about anything to make the trip from one place to the next place as enjoyable as possible. So, but you're not if you're calling the idea of getting on a bus or a train or a thing the trip, then really you're going to quit very quickly. You have to love the new culture you're coming to. You have to love the destination. The trip between the places is sort of a something that you have to do, even though that is actually the literal word travel.
Hi,
so
Andy.
what are some of the things that... Oh, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to ask Andy about language. How do you deal with communication?
Well, I speak French and I speak Spanish, and I pasa Thai. No, I speak a lot of Thai. I speak a lot of... I really... Contrary to what you think, hand language will get you through in most countries, okay? So, I mean, China's difficult, Arabic countries can be really difficult. And Korea was just one of the worst places I've ever been in my life for language. Japan's tough, but generally it's getting to the hotel that's the difficult part. If you get to the hotel, then you have a base, and then you can walk around. Now, if you really want to cause yourself problems, you rent a car and try to drive around in a place like Korea. Then you're gonna have hell of a problem. But I learn the language in each country. I will try to learn enough words to say like how much money and things like that. The most important word you need to know though is where's the bathroom. But
I've also learned that it's to ask where the bathroom is, and what is people are going to answer you in that language, and you still won't know where it is.
Well, with sign language,
down.
This is what's sad is body language is universal, and you really should learn body language and kind of forget the talking language. Body language is universal, so everybody talks the same language, whether they know it or not. So if you talk body language, hey, you can go anywhere.
That's very encouraging.
Excuse me?
I want to ask you also, you said you have to make it as much fun as possible going from one place to another because, it's really about once you arrive, not about the part in between. So what are some of the things that you do to make that in-between part, the trip itself? What are some of the things that you do to make that fun? Do you have some little tricks?
Well, generally, one thing I don't do, which makes it more enjoyable, is I don't spend, contrary to what you think, I don't plan at all on my trips on land. So the land trips, I just get up in the morning and I go. And I don't go more than about 5 hours in a day. That way it always makes the trip sort of enjoyable. And then I just walk out and I catch the most convenient transportation that somebody's pointing me at. Most of the locals will tell you, I mean, if you walk out and say, I'm going to this city, you say the city name, they're just going to take you to the place that goes there, okay? Now, what I have been doing to try to make my life more simple is I've been trying to actually rent a taxi between cities. And sometimes in a lot of these countries, if you're only going, say, 100 miles or 200 miles, you can actually rent a taxi and make the trip. Paul Thoreau in the Dark Star Safari did that. He actually would rent a taxi going, that's where he got the idea. So, it's kind of silly here. See, the cost of a taxi is really cheap. And so you can make a 100-mile trip for, like, say, $30 or something like that.
Okay. So
But
it's well worth it. And then you've got transportation on.
generally what you want to do is keep the minimum amount of brain time involved, okay? So people that are asking thousands of questions, planning for 5 days, they did the trip 16 times, right? Go out, get on the bus, and go. You know, you just do it one time. You don't do it every time. Rumination. You don't want to ruminate the same problem over and over and over in your head. It's just too taxing on the spirit. And every plan you make is going to go wrong. So, you know, on land trips, airplane trips are different, right?
Okay. With traveling this much and moving as much as you do, your gear has to be pretty special. Now, I've seen some of your videos about things that you kind of have rigged up because of wherever it is that you're staying. But on the average, what does your travel bag look like? I mean, is it just a backpack? Is it just a carry-on? Do you have a suitcase and carry-on? What is your gear like?
Well, it's a kind of a canvas bag. It's about 14 inches by 22 inches by 8 inches. So it's really a carry-on size. It's a little bigger than a carry-on size, and it's a backpack, and I can carry it on my back. But when I get to a country, I carry grain bags with me, and what I do is when I actually get to the country, I tie a bag on the outside so that the bag expands. Because when I get to the country, I double the size. Used to be you could carry 2 backpacks. I carried 2 backpacks for about 8 years. But the airlines have just made it impossible to do this. So what I do is I carry my essentials. I don't carry a lot of shampoo, laundry soap. I don't carry all this crazy gear that you can buy in any country, right? I buy that when I land. When I land up by the airplane, then I buy it, then I carry it from place to place. But I have one backpack, and then I have a day pack that's my camera bag, computer bag, whatever. I carry that on my front. I carry the backpack on the back, and then I tie on a grain bag, which is just I roll up all my clothing in this, and I actually have hangers now I carry hangers, and I just roll it up, and I tie it on the bottom of my bag, and it's a very efficient system. But you have to think about expansion, expandable bags, okay? Because you will buy things, and you have to have some way to expand your bag. The best bag, actually, right now, I'm really leaning towards a big, huge duffel bag, a military bag, because airlines have just made life impossible. Because if you have more than one bag, I got on the airline to go to Haiti, and they told me I could only have one bag. What would I have done if I would have had 2 bags? They would have. I don't have somebody that takes me to the airport, right?
Right.
I mean, what I got to do? Just throw the thing away? But one trick I do carry, I have a vest with 1,000 pockets in it, which is a hunting vest, and I can put about 15 kilos worth of stuff on my clothing.
Ah,
so
there's an invention now that's called a Scotty vest that has been made to do that. Sure.
Well, I took a hunting vest and added about 20 pockets on the back of it, and I filled it up with all sorts of, the heavy stuff, the books, the computer disk drive, all this stuff, because they really don't care what you carry on your clothing. So anything heavy goes in there, but you only have about a 20-kilo drop, right? So 50-some pounds. So you have to always stay under the 50 pounds in the bag, right?
Right. But anymore, evidently, there's an airline that's charging you for how much you weigh.
Yeah, I heard that the other day, which is really in a way fair, but I mean it's just another tricky way to make the fine print too difficult to read, right?
Exactly. Now you obviously do not eat out. You have not been eating out for 15 years. So you must sometimes prepare your own food. You must sometimes, cook. Are your hotel rooms always, or your places that you stay, are they always just a room, or are they sometimes apartments? And if they're apartments, do they come equipped, or do you have to go buy, I don't know, saucepans and all that stuff?
Well, I'm what they call a true backpacker. A true backpacker, for a mountain backpacker, has gear on him to cook. Okay, so I carry cooking gear with me always, and it's a very light gear but I probably cook in my room, say, according to the country, about 30% of the time. So, but I don't, it's really, really difficult to rent an apartment, okay, because by the time you rent an apartment, you've spent a week worth of research trying to find it. And there's very, very few places where you can rent an apartment just getting off the plane without a deposit, doing the electrical and all that stuff. I love hotels. Like Central and South America has hotels with kitchens inside the hotel that are common kitchens. They're excellent. But most of the time I just use a regular room, and mainly because I'm way too lazy to spend my time 3 days looking for an apartment. It just eats up brainwave, right? People don't realize how much brainwave they use just in this planning stuff. And there's no joy in me walking around looking for an apartment. There's no joy of looking at the map. There's no joy of reading the guidebook. These are things I have to do that I do every day of the week. It's just part of the job, right?
So what do you love to use your brain power on?
Enjoying life. I get up every morning. I go for a walk. I find some food, like a piece of bread or whatever I'd want. Here I'm eating these little round donut hole type things. They're called galettes. And then I have all these projects that I work on. Like right now I'm studying malaria, and I'm studying all different projects. But generally I keep the creature comfort time down to probably less than a half hour a day. So the washing the clothes, I have to wash my own clothes here in Africa just because Africa's very expensive. And it's very complicated in Africa. But I spend most of the time roaming around the city, taking photos, and just getting to know the people. A lot of people somehow are addicted to the process of cleaning their room, arranging the room, putting things on the wall. Conspicuous consumption and actually doing anything for social status has no value to me because nobody cares that I'm here, right? There's all these things we do that is about making your house look good. There's no permanent thing here. I don't have a vested interest. I'm not a stakeholder in the hotel. I'm leaving it, right? So I'm not in the business of decorating it.
Does that mean you don't spend very much time in your room?
Well, I spend a lot of time in my room, but I buy things like mops and brooms and things like that. But people don't realize that they spend about 50% of their day shopping, okay? And it's because they consume things and they need to buy things at the store, take it home, put it away, arrange it. And I have a backpack. I can't do that. I don't have any. You lose that addiction. There is no addiction to buying because I can't. I can only carry a backpack.
Okay.
I can't buy.
So you don't have.
People don't realize how much they buy, but you spend about 25 to 50% of your day buying.
I do get that. When I came to Hawaii, I came with one of those small suitcases that converts into a backpack, and I had that, and I had my tools because I'm a jeweler, so I brought my tools and stuff for working, and a computer bag. And that's all I had when I came. And within 6 months, because I decided not to leave, within 6 months I had an entire apartment full of stuff. And I looked around myself and went, how did I do this? And you're right. It's by, oh, I think I need this little trinket, I need that little trinket, and the next thing you know, you're surrounded by trinkets. So I'm trying to get back to the backpack. I'm working on it.
If you took all the time that you spent accumulating those trinkets, you would realize that you have so much free time on your life that it's ridiculous. And there's so much time invested in consuming that it's quite amazing to me. I spend most of my day, like right now I'm watching the Count of Monte Cristo on the thing, a 4-part series. I watched 14 hours of the history of Britain the other day. So I mean, I'm overrun with free time. Okay, I read books. I read a book every week. I have so much. I'm wealthy in time, but I'm not.
The trinkets.
I'm poor in possession.
The trinkets that you gather, the things that you are gathering, is knowledge, much more so than material things. You're absorbing information and knowledge and experiences. Yeah.
I make friends. What I accumulate is friends.
Okay.
I have friends everywhere. What's most important to me is friendship. So the art of entering into a conversation. I study body language constantly, how to start a conversation, how to maintain friends, how to become friends with somebody, within, 1.5 day. What
right.
terms of endearment we have, what things make people friends. I do all this because everywhere I go, I have to. The most important thing in life is intimacy, the sharing of ourself with another person. Without that, I'm just a greedy person. So that's what I accumulate.
In all of your travels, is there something, I'm sure you have several, if not more, something that's stuck in your heart where a person in another country has shown you compassion and that they're there in your heart and you will never forget them?
Well, yeah, I have many of these. Usually there's random acts of kindness, okay, which is sometimes you don't realize everybody where I'm at here is watching me, and everybody is trying to take care of me whether I know it or not. Okay, I remember I was in this city before and I fell off this wall. And it was dark. It was very, very dark. And I fell down 10 feet. And within 1 minute, there was 6 people trying to pull me out. They all were watching me. Okay, and we don't realize this, but everybody in the world is watching us, and everybody's trying to take care of us. They don't just volunteer to help us, which is one problem I have with NGOs. They're forcing themselves to on somebody. But if I need help, I have help everywhere. So there's many people that have done this. I just the other day I was in Guatemala. I remember this old man starting to cry when I was leaving. I mean, he felt the honor of us being friends. I mean, which is it's the honor we share of being friends with each other that endears us, the compassion. I mean, when you see that when money don't matter, okay, because there's really the thing I've learned in the last 2 years is don't talk about money. Just talk about friendship. It's a very difficult thing in America because we're always used to just buying. But I'm no longer American, right? I'm more of a global citizen.
I like that.
Me too. Me too. I've often thought that the borders that we have to say that this is this country and this is this country really don't make a whole lot of sense because, the creatures of the planet don't see borders. They don't have passports, and they just go and they intermingle and they meet each other and they continue, and there's no you go only to the spot and then you have to have some permission to go further. They have their boundaries and whatnot, but not in the way that humans have set up these artificial boundaries. So I like the idea of being a global citizen. I wish that there were more people doing it, but I think that more and more people are doing it. I would like to ask you, is there a place out of all the places that you've been that you want to go back to?
Oh,
do
yeah.
you ever go back?
I go back. Yes, I do. I've been to Lago Atitlan maybe 3 or 4 times, and I've been to actually Togo 4 times. I've been to Thailand, 25 times. I've been to Peru maybe 6 times. And let's see, where else have I been? I'm in many places. You got a lot of these places are in the way too. If you're on the way to another place, you kind of go through the place on the way there, right? I'm a person that goes by land. I believe in going by land. I believe that if you want to not know a country, go by plane. If you want to know the country, you go by land.
So a lot
if you
of
want
time
to
on
immerse
buses and
yourself,
trains.
you have. Yeah, I believe that immersion is traveling by public transportation. If you want to empathize, you got to travel the same as the locals. If you want to make a colony of Americans in a location like Vicabamba or something like that, you fly there, you live in a gated community, and you never see anybody. I travel to meet people, but I'm a traveler. I'm not living abroad, okay? I'm a traveler, okay? I live abroad because I'm abroad, but I'm actually a traveler. I continue to move. I'm not a 3-country banger, which is like, Thailand, Philippines. There's people that go 3 countries all the time. 3 countries.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me. I'm a 90-country guy.
In a little bit that I read from the website, the word homeless keeps coming up, and I don't consider you homeless. Do you consider you homeless?
Well, strangely, this is this is a really good question. Okay, it's impossible. Okay, in the mind of anybody that I'm talking to, they don't understand the word that I travel continuously. They say, well, when you go home, I go, no, I'm not going home because I don't have a home. And so we use this word as a key word to say I really don't have a home, that my home is traveling. I'm not homeless, okay? I have my home but it's where I call it a mobile household, okay? It's a household that moves. My household moves with me. But we have to use this word because people don't understand the term continuous traveler. They don't understand the term perpetual traveler. But when you say you're homeless, now that they understand.
But their concept of homeless is so different than, and people think of homeless. Your homeless means that you don't have a place that you return to and leave stuff there and go back and forth, where most people think of homeless as indigent and, lacking in some way, where you are overly rich in comparison to what most people think of as homeless. They usually think of homeless as being no food, no place to live, no resources, and pretty sad.
Well, let's look at it as a writer tool. There's tools in writing where what you do is you take the person and you shift them off their routine of people talk in platitudes and cliches because they know what they're to expect. But when you say I'm homeless, then you explain it, then they understand. But you have to get them to stop defining me. As soon as they get on a travel website, they think that I'm trying to sell them a tour, right? Yes. It's amazing. They have these people that get on travel websites want to be entertained. They want to hear only the good, no balance. They want to hear a complete essay that supports their decision to go to Thailand. They don't want to hear anything contradictory except they're making a good idea to go to Thailand. They're making a good idea to go to France. They're making a good idea. But when they get on a website, they're not looking for new ideas. What they're looking for is justification that they're spending their money the right way.
Okay.
So you have to get them twisted. You have to quickly get this person twisted and see if they're open-minded. If they're open-minded and they'll continue to read after they read the word homeless, then they're actually a balanced individual.
Well, and you're never
if they're going to have contempt.
You're never truly lost because you always know right where you're at.
Exactly. But, I love my life, and I wake up every morning, I drink my coffee, I do exactly the same thing. I go for a walk every day. I wander around, I say hi to people, I accumulate friends, I collect email addresses, I learn how to, but my life's relatively the same. I watch a movie every day, I read a little bit on my book, I work on my website. It's the same thing, it's just a different channel every day. I just changed hotels today, so I'm in a different hotel. The air conditioner is better here. But each place is a new experience. But people look for in travel. The idea of traveling forever is they don't know anybody that does it, so they have no framework to work from.
Right.
You travel, you go home. You travel, you go home. You travel, you go home. The idea, how do you explain that I don't want to go home? They think that I'm just traveling until I get tired and then I'll go home. And I said, I'm not tired of traveling. I've been doing it for 15 years. I can't imagine stopping, actually. I mean, the idea of sitting in the United States in the same place for the next 20 years, that sounds like torture.
Yes, it does.
I agree. Okay, traveling for 15 years.
That have read my. There's people waiting for me to give up and go home.
I think they're going to be disappointed. When you first started, did you fund your traveling by a website, or what did you do in order to earn money, or did you have savings that you used? How did you do that?
For the first year, I lived off of savings, but then I started making websites. I used to trade site for a hotel room. So I'd go into a hotel and I'd say, I'll make you a website for a free room. And then as I started writing, for about 3 years, I lived off of donations. Okay, so people would send me, that was in the beginnings of travel writing on the internet, and everybody was excited to read. And they would send me $10, and I'd make I'd earn about $300 a month in donations. And then finally, Google AdSense came out, which is a way to monetize your website. And when that came, I became a rich man.
Right on.
But what was funny? This is what's funny. I was living off of donations, and this is hilarious in a way, for about 3 or 4 years, and then Forbes.com made me one of the top 5 travel blogs for Forbes.com. I announced this in my newsletter, and I never received another donation. Because somehow I was a made man. But they actually put me out of the donation business, because now that I was a success, people like to give to, sad stories. They don't really want to give to Forbes.com top 5 travel blogs.
That's true.
Now that I'm national,
and they probably...
I'm national. okay, I'm National Geographic top 10 adventure travel, budget travel. I'm top travel blog in 50 to 100 places at least. And nobody really wants to donate to a success.
But just because you've made those lists, are they paying you, or you just made these lists? Maybe that is where people don't understand. Maybe they think, oh, well, if he's on Forbes' list, then Forbes is really rich and they're paying him, so he doesn't need our money.
Well, nobody pays me, okay? They just put me on the list. They didn't even tell me they were putting me on the list. But I was proud of it, so I announced it. The minute I announced it, I became like a little celebrity, and celebrities don't need money. It's just a stereotype, right? Why would a celebrity need money? We're supposed to be the rich and famous, but hey,
everyone thinks that they're rich. Yes.
Well, I'm just the average guy, and I'm very, very well known in the travel industry, but I still have to earn my money, right? So it's kind of silly in a way, but you know, we're all tied into our little. You know, we take a snapshot of the world, and that snapshot doesn't change very easily, okay? And we really, really enforce our little stereotypes. We're not very open-minded as people. It's really, you know, I have to be open-minded because somebody's going to ram some cultural difference right in my face, and I have to be tolerant of it. But you can get in the same routine, go the same trip to the work every day, and never have a challenge in your day if you're working at a 9-to-5 job. Me, man, there was so much noise in the bus today coming here. I was like, you know, I had to be tolerant, right?
Either that or get off the bus.
Well, yeah, but I'm laughing. I have a really funny problem. There's all these little children running around naked here, and I have to be real careful where I take photos, right? And I go, this is really sick. I mean, you know, they're just playing, you know, because it's very tropical, right? And you know, I realized the other day, I said, I got a photo. I got to delete this photo by accident. I took a photo of this little kid, and I thought, this is sick. I have to delete this photo. But, you know, this is a different culture, right? It's everywhere you go, you have to be tolerant of people. But the United States has become less tolerant, okay? Everything has to be politically correct. If we say it the wrong way, they're going to pick at it. If we think the wrong way, but, you know, they call me Papa here. It really makes me irritated. They call me Fatso if I'm too heavy. It's in what do they call me in Latino language? Sometimes when I'm overweight, they'll call me Gordo, which is like Fatso, right? But it's just a term of endearment to them. Hey, Gordo.
Now,
hey,
I have
Fatso.
another.
And I go, hey, go ahead.
I have another question for you that's a little bit on the serious side because we have a lot of listeners, period, but we have a lot of listeners who are, because I'm female and I travel alone, I tend to attract like people. And then we also have couples and whatnot. There are some things that are common sense that people kind of seem to forget as soon as they get on a plane or wherever. They forget that, you know, you're no longer sitting in your living room. How do you, because you're traveling by yourself, so how do you safeguard the few belongings that you have and your personal safety so that, you know, you can continue to travel for 15 years without serious mishap? I'm sure you've had some, but without serious mishap. What can you tell us some of the things that you might think are common sense that we may not have thought of?
Well, one thing I do is I don't let anybody clean my room, because if you're going to get robbed, they have to know what you have. So if they come in your room and they see what you have, like I have a computer, I got about $4,000 worth of equipment, right? And if they seen this, it would tempt them. So you remove the temptation. So you don't let them clean the room. The second thing is the biggest thing that will keep you safe is to trust your instinct. If you don't like the person, believe yourself, okay? if you walk up to a person and you don't like the person, make a radical judgment and walk away. I mean, that's going to keep you safe. Your mind doesn't like them for a reason. I mean, you got to tell your brain, hey, brain, why don't I like them? Who gives a crap? Just walk away. We override this. We act like we have to give them a fair chance. Don't give people a fair chance, okay? Your mind says you don't like them for a reason, okay? So walk away. Trust your instincts, okay? Don't let them clean the room. Don't carry money on you. Don't carry. I carry only enough money with me to do it. One of the common sense ways to stay safe is go home before 11 o'clock at night.
Oh.
Most people get robbed after 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Okay. If you're standing around, put your leg in your backpack. I don't care if I'm in the United States. I don't care where I'm at. My foot is through the strap of my computer bag, my camera bag. I never let it just sit there on the table, because everything's about temptation. You don't tempt people by doing it. But the biggest way to stay safe is probably not let people clean your room. But somehow we think that we're on vacation, we're on splurge, we got to have somebody take care of us. And I'm not on splurge. I live here, right? I can't afford to lose my computer. It's my business.
So you just make sure that nobody's in your room to see what it is that's in there.
Yeah, and if somebody goes in the room, then everybody would know, hey, he don't want his room clean. I change the sheets. I sweep the floor. I mean, it's not like I'm busy, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy to let somebody come in and trip over your computer, break it. I mean, if everything's temptation. So if they see it, it's like I'm always laughing when I see somebody walking down the street with their camera hanging around their neck. I go, thank you. You're the volunteer victim. You're not coming after me. I mean, you got to have volunteers to be crazy, right? So these are the volunteers. They're everywhere. The volunteers to get robbed, they're walking around with their camera in their hand, their cell phone in their pocket hanging out, their billfold, a big, huge billfold on the back of their butt. They're volunteers. So what can I say? I mean,
how do you take photographs when, you're in so many amazing places where you want to get pictures?
Well, I have a backpack, and it looks like a day bag. It doesn't look like a computer bag. It doesn't look like a camera bag. It looks just like a small backpack. I flip it around the front, open it up, pull my camera out, take the photo, put it back in, and flip it around the back again. I never take the bag off. It's a complete system. But you have to conceal your camera when you're not using it. You don't carry it. I mean, if you really want to get robbed, go to Europe. I mean, they rob everything in Europe. Walking around with your camera is saying, I have something of value. Rob me, right? Driving your car says, I have money.
I know you're winding down, so yeah, you did. But so we were giving people your website so that they can find you. Right, we're almost done here, but I want to ask you, you have a travel community. Your travel community is HoboTraveler.com. Can you tell people how to become a part of that community and where they find your information within that community?
Well, they just go to HoboTraveler.com. We also have 100 separate websites on the 100 best places to live on the planet. Or I call it the best places to hang out. I don't really want people to buy a house. I don't want them to live there. I want them to go hang out there until they know they like it. Don't buy a house until you're positive you like the place. But we got 100 different websites, 100 different locations. But if you go to Hobo Traveler, you just click on sign in and join. And what that does is that enables you to get to me, enables you to get to what we would consider reputable sources. But we're really stringent here. We're making sure that everybody that's in the membership has respect for the other people. Okay, so there's no tolerance here for mockery and things like that. And what we're going to do is graduate people up to being expert travelers so that you could send private messages and communicate with people in different places, because that's the goal, is that you find somebody in Chiang Mai, and we got a website in Chiang Mai, you go there, you join, and you can follow people that are in that community.
Wow.
But it's really fun for you, so.
I see one place on your HoboTraveler.com where it says Writers Wanted, and that you're actually paying people to write articles.
Right.
A little tidbit about that.
Well, what we found is that the people that submit articles have too much of an agenda. Okay, and they're writing articles, as complicated articles that are advertisements. Okay,
right.
So what we're doing now is I'm being the editor. We're having editor staff and proofreaders, and we're being very strict with these writers, and we'll pay them for it. But we want them to get paid, and as opposed to trying to submit an article where they're trying to write about, Hawaii or Disney World and make money. Because most of the articles, travel writer articles, we have real trouble. I'm morally opposed to somebody hiding an advertisement in a travel article. Okay, I want them to be very direct. If they're selling their product, they're selling their product. That's fine. But they don't act like everything's rosy, come to, here and live and build a house and do this stuff. I mean, many very, very slick advertisement for real estate sales. They're not articles about where to live abroad. They're advertising sales to say we have developments in 7 different countries. Okay.
Right.
So we're paying for a writer to write so that we have the editing capacity to keep away the stories. We'll pay anywhere from and we want articles that need written as opposed to maybe everybody wants. So we're looking more in the public interest, I guess. I couldn't imagine as a traveler giving advice that would make me money and possibly cause you a problem. That's just against the traveler's creed.
Right.
And I'm a real traveler. To me, we give advice to other travelers to help them travel. To tell you to buy these Camelback water bag when I know you're not going to use it, okay? There's certain products that are just boondoggles. I mean, Camelback water bag, the steel wrap thing, the mesh bag that the backpack in. These things are things that people dump on a regular basis. I mean, I'm not going to.
So if you really want to try one out, you go to Goodwill, huh?
Well, I mean, yeah, go to Goodwill because I've had people try to give me gear they paid, $150 for because they don't want to carry the stupid thing, right? And I go, I don't want that stupid thing. I mean, there's no way to clean a Camelback thing. It's full of water. It's how do you clean this thing? And a bottle is good. You just blow it, right?
Exactly. Some things just aren't practical.
Really just,
I'm curious about that. And I'm also curious about another place on your site. the membership part and where people can make their own page or something? Is that kind of like a profile page and then they connect with other people?
Yeah, everybody can make a profile page, and then they can put their links to, Facebook or whatever they want to do, their website, their homepage. They can put their photos up. It's a lot like Facebook. And then what it is it's like then you can become friends with people, and then you can write private messages to each other. And eventually what we're going to do is have a wall that will basically, when you write on the wall, it will communicate to everybody in the group. One benefit of this is say that your son goes to Europe and he's traveling around. He keeps posting on the wall, and the parents can actually figure out where the kid's at all the time, right? So this is a problem. People travel and nobody knows where they're at. So we're trying to set up a way where they're going to keep posting their location, so they do it. And then it's kind of along the same idea of Facebook, but it's at a little more tied in with their location and a lot of feedback so that people are following the location. But generally, everybody along the line will be able to do the same as me, and they'll be able to write their daily missive of what, and people will be able to follow them. We're not. It's very complicated to put this together because you have a lot of spammers and a lot of people that are attacking the website all the time, and you have all these clever people that try to get through. So we're always trying to make it so that it's a social network where everybody's friends, okay, where there's a way to stop the agenda movers. We don't like. I'm a traveler. I'm not going to let somebody give bad advice to another person because they want to say you need this, and they're just selling visas or something, right? And
exactly.
The internet industry is just full of people misrepresenting stuff. And this is not a game. You're getting on a plane and going, to another country. This is not a game. You could get in serious trouble with some of this advice.
Absolutely. Well, I want people to come to your site. I want people to come to your site and become a part of it, because I think that there's a ton of, just in your videos alone, there's a ton of very valuable information there. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving us all this cool stuff. Now, where is your next spot? And let me tell people that I'm going to give people your website. It's hobotraveler.com, HOBOTRAVELER.com. And if you put that in on search even, you'll find it. And go and join the site. Where's your next destination, Andy? Or you haven't thought that far ahead yet?
Well, I keep trying to bang over to Nigeria, but Nigeria keeps refusing my visa. They won't give me a visa.
I guess you're not going there.
They're kidnapping people over there. Well, they kidnap people over there, so I think what I'm going to do is I may go up to Burkina Faso, make an end around, and go over to Guinea and Sierra Leone. It's kind of a complicated. If you look at a map, it's like going up. I have to go around. I have to go to Burkina Faso. Then it's a long way around. You would think you'd go along the coast, but I'm probably going to go to Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Senegal, Gambia, and that area.
Wow. Well,
but,
I will be watching.
I really don't. I really don't know. So I'm going to go to Benin, I think, for another month because I really enjoy this. Natangou has about 10 ethnic groups, so it's really interesting with 10 kind of tribal differences. Really,
wow.
It's a menagerie of people. Natangou.
We'll have to get you back on so that you can share with us what you learned from that journey. But for now, I'm going to kind of wrap it up. But this has been amazing, and I'm sure you're going to see some people coming over. I know I'm going to go over and join your site. I didn't quite understand what it was, but now that you've explained it, you'll see me over there, and I would imagine you'll see quite a few others. So thank you so much, Andy.
Yep. No problem.
Thank you,
Call me
Andy.
anytime. I really don't work that much, so don't think I'm busy. Okay. Bye-bye.
Safe travel.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Please friend us on Facebook. Aloha.